Hi, my name is Derek. That's my grandma. Where's Grandma? There she is. Say hi, Grandma. If you're tuning into this video, that means that you've seen my YouTube sign out in my yard, and you're wondering what the heck is going on. Why has this guy got signs in his yard saying to go to YouTube? Well, the reason I did that is because I think it's important to get the word out before it's too late for me to get any word out. My story is pretty simple. I grew up in Canby. I moved away and moved back when I had a kid at 50 years old. Upon moving back here, my young fiance at the time and I had a breaking up, and she ended up calling Yellow Medicine County Sheriff's Department, and um, two officers showed up and made her made me stand on the corner in my own living room while they packed up a few things of hers and brought her, drove her all the way to St. Cloud. Um, there was some allegations and stuff that she was making that I had a Nest system in my house and there were cameras running, so most of what she said was um, proven to be lies. But nevertheless, Casey Napkin and another Yellow Medicine County deputy took um, 6 hours, I suppose it was, 2.5, 3 hours there and 2.5, 3 hours back to give her a ride up to St. Cloud. Well, during this time, her name was Caitlin. Caitlin decided that she was going to do her best to get me in trouble. So she concocted a mixture of about that much truth with about that much storytelling. Now, Casey Napkin, being the astute investigator that he is, um, gobbled it up. And a week later, someone broke in my garage. The garage was locked, and someone broke in through the side door and tipped over my bike, my motorcycle, causing a few $100s worth of damage, and then slid up underneath my pickup and installed a GPS tracking device. Mind you, I had no idea that this was going on. The only reason I know that this happened is because I caught it on video on my cameras. I seen a very short individual in the shadows sneaking up on my garage and then breaking in and then leaving. Well, when I went outside and looked around, there's nothing missing. All I seen was some skid marks underneath my pickup. And when I slid underneath and looked, there was a cigar box type device attached to the bottom. I detached it, took it into the house, took it apart, and seen that it was some kind of a GPS tracker, wrote down the FCC numbers and UCCL ID numbers or whatever that are, and reattached it. About a few hours later, the canby cop shows up and demands the tracker. I denied everything and still wasn't sure what was going on. And he demanded access to my truck, which I gave him. And he was unable to find the tracker, which was right in front of his face. And then he called Casey Napkin and told him that he was unable to find it. And that was the first threat of criminal charges that they levied against me. They told me that they were going to charge me with criminal damage to property and interfering with the police investigation, and that I was going to be going to jail. And I told them pretty much, the truck's parked outside, do what you will, I have no idea what you're talking about, and went to bed. A few hours later, Casey Napkin showed up at my mom's house and slid up underneath the truck, or maybe he just walked underneath it, I'm not sure. But anyway, he found his tracker and he took it back, and he had applied for a search warrant on the basis of what this young, angry, postpardon um, girl had told him, that I was some sort of mob boss, some sort of shot caller, some sort of evil person, a bad guy. Truth of the matter was that when I met Caitlin the year previous, she was hooked on methadone and heroin, and I told her that when she was pregnant that she needed to stop, or I was going to go ahead and have her committed. And we moved to Canby when she did stop. So it was a fresh start for us. We decided to come back to Canby. I decided to come back to Canby, back to the family that I hadn't seen in years. And the events that unfolded they're just almost horrific to think about. This Casey napkin flew drones around my house, trying to look in my windows. I know this because my mom's house overlooks my house, and you can see against the silhouette of in a brighter sky. You can see the silhouette of the drone. So this drone was been, I don't know, I've heard it buzzing around my house at 4:35 in the morning multiple times. I can't even count how many times. But in any event, I've had to live with that, with listening to this drone buzz around. I've also had to live with the Canby police parking up the street from my house and up the hill from my house, and watching my where I go and what I do, and just generally being almost stalking, but under the guise of being an investigation. But since I'm not really doing anything wrong, I thought nothing of it. With that being said, I'm not an angel. While Caitlin was pregnant, I did bounce some checks. I bounced some checks at Target. I bounced some checks at Cashwise, and I bounced some other checks, and that's probably going to have to be dealt with at some point in time. But that's the only dirt in my closet at this point. And going through the breakup and all the stress from having the police sneaking around my garage and causing damages and listening to drones and stuff, it wears on a guy. I'm an addict, and there have been times that I have relapsed. But one thing I can tell you for sure is that the relapse stopped with me. No one from Canby ever got drugs from me. No one from Canby ever found out where to go get drugs from me. No one ever did any drugs at my house. I eventually got my child back because Caitlin abandoned him. That was 23 weeks ago. And I just have been putting up with the harassment and the general just harassment, basically, of the Canby Police Department and the Yellow Medicine County Sheriff's Department, namely just Casey. I find him parked up the road from my house. He gets drunk at the bar and talks about to have a meth lab at my house. He likes to talk. So let's go back 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, my dog is going crazy in the backyard, and I go look outside. I see nothing. I reach for the front door, and it flies open, and 3 masked men in military garb burst into my home, and the one with the goggles and the paramilitary gear put a gun straight to my head and said, "Don't fucking move." A long pregnant pause, and then he said, "Sheriff's Department." That was designed to scare the shit out of me, which it did. I heard my heart beat twice, I fainted, and I woke up in the hospital. However, Um, they conducted their search warrant on the basis of who knows what. Peeking through my windows with the drone, um, more hearsay or whatever from a 20-some-year-old postpartum angry ex, or just made up stuff. Who knows what? But evidently they have a Pez dispenser that just kicks out search warrants because um, he's been able to get search warrants every time he's asked for them, for nothing, because I'm not doing anything. I have a prescription to use THC. I battle with addiction, but I'm winning. Um, I have flaws, but I feel like I'm doing well. My son's 10 months old now, and I'm scared to return to my home with him because I'm afraid that Casey and his hitman, or whatever you want to call him, are going to come bursting through my door and either shoot me and put a gun in my hands, or plant drugs, or do something, because evidently this Casey has got no problem departing from the truth. Otherwise, he would not have been able to get any search warrants or any of the information that he's used to get the search warrant signed. I believe to date there's been 4 of them. I've not been charged with anything. To date, all they've found was a couple of pot plants and a pipe. Now, I'm not trying to cry and play the victim here. I lived a pretty rough life before I came back to Canby. But that all changed when my son was born. I've tried to do everything I can to make a better life for him. And I thought living here in Canby would be the answer to that. It's just been a nightmare now. I've had my door kicked in, trackers put on my vehicles. The coffee at the Midway Cafe has never been more refreshing because everybody seems to know what's going on at the Midway, whether it be true or not. But anyways, I'm still being stalked. Today I went to the drugstore to pick up medication, and I was accosted by 3 police officers who came up to me with their chests out and told me that I was in violation of my driving hours, and that they were going to be sending me a ticket in the mail. And I told them, go ahead, and I pulled away. Well, it rained today, and there's a lot of loose gravel on the ground, and my transmission and pumpkin are not in the best condition. I am locked in posi. So when I pulled away, my tires ever so slightly slid on the pea gravel, the wet pea gravel. So they wrote me a ticket for squealing my tires, for driving after my hours of suspension, which weren't even up yet. It was like 3:30 and I could drive till 5. Followed me to my home, and then got out in force and come walking at me like they were going to arrest me or do something, and then taunted me. It's the only way that cops know how to taunt. They act like they are going to do something that they're not, or else they just try to instill some fear or something. But what the problem is that I'm not doing anything. I took 12 months off so that I could raise my son, because he doesn't have a mom and he needs to have some nurturing time. And these police are just wrecking it. So this crazy guy that's putting signs in his yard is basically just a beacon trying to just let everybody know that this yellow medicine investigator is full of BS. He's trying to set me up. He does not like me. He does not like my uncle. He doesn't like my family. He's a liar. And he has gotten search warrants by lying and exaggerating the truth, and is just a bad cop. So you'll continue to hear from me, because I'm not just going to up and leave. I am planning on selling my house. think about leasing it to the state of Minnesota for a halfway house for sex offenders. I thought that would be kind of cool, to leave Canby with the rotten taste in their mouth that they've left me. But that really wouldn't be fair to the citizens here. I just want to be left alone with my son and let me raise my son in peace. I guess the time will tell and there'll be more to come, who knows what, but I am preparing to leave. At this time, there are no charges against me except for the BS driving tickets and stuff, which it directly affects my livelihood because I have a Class A. That's how I make my living. So since I've moved here, I've caught a ticket going up to the station to throw a little gas in my bike so that it wasn't sitting completely empty over the winter. I caught a DAS after that because my license hadn't been changed yet, and I was not told that of a court date or anything like that. I submitted my insurance information, and it typically takes care of it, but it did not this time. So they suspended my driver's license, and then now I've caught 3 more driving after suspensions, all which are veiled attempts at harassment. So pray for me, pray for my son. I pray for Canby. Canby's not the place that I remember when I grew up. I went to 5th grade here. It was a happy town. There was smiles on people's faces. Strangers weren't looked at the way I am looked at now. Rumors weren't made up. I shouldn't say that. There was probably rumors back then, but the rumors now are nasty. And they're salacious. And they must go good with coffee. So if you look this video up and you see the signs in my yard, give me a honk for support as you drive by. I could use a little bit of support at this time. I'm going to be selling the house and moving out of town because I do have a 10-month-old baby that I need to raise. I'm going to be traveling probably, I'm not sure where yet, but this was kind of my everything. I dropped everything I was doing, sold everything I had, and moved to Canby. But it's a failed dream, so pray for me, pray for my son, and stay safe out there and watch out for overzealous investigators that are shorter, I guess you might want to say. But yeah, give me a honk. Hit the like button on YouTube. I've never made a YouTube video that's, I made one, I guess, when I pulled my tooth, but I've never made a YouTube video that, I just figured this is a good way for me to get my story out. Good night.